Most people think they're good at reading people. They trust smiles. They believe compliments. They assume confidence means competence. And that's exactly why they get manipulated. Machiavelli understood something most people never realize. The biggest lies are rarely spoken. They're performed. The dangerous people in your life don't wear signs. They don't announce themselves. They become whatever you want them to be, until they've taken what they came for. The truth is uncomfortable. Human beings are terrible judges of character, not because they're unintelligent, but because they judge with emotion before they judge with observation. That's why intelligent men still get betrayed. Successful men still get deceived. Strong men still get used. The problem isn't your intelligence. It's the way your mind processes people. Today, you'll learn 7 Machiavellian principles that will permanently change the way you observe human behavior. You'll begin noticing things most people never see. Patterns, contradictions, tiny signals, hidden intentions. Because once you learn to see beyond words, very few people will ever fool you again. Welcome. This is Dark Mind Protocol. And this is the mindset of the silent strategist. Imagine walking into a room where 20 people are talking. One person laughs the loudest. One person compliments everyone. One person seems incredibly confident. Without realizing it, your brain immediately begins making judgments. He seems trustworthy. She seems genuine. He looks successful. But Machiavelli would ask a different question. What evidence do you actually have? The answer? Almost none. Your mind filled in the blanks. Psychologists call this the halo effect. Machiavelli observed it centuries before psychology gave it a name. One attractive quality blinds us to everything else. Someone is charismatic, so we assume they're honest. Someone speaks confidently, so we assume they're competent. Someone smiles often, so we assume they're kind. Manipulators understand this instinct better than most people understand themselves. That's why the most dangerous liar rarely looks dangerous. He looks familiar, comfortable, relatable. He tells you exactly what you hope to hear. He mirrors your opinions, laughs at your jokes, agrees with your frustrations. Slowly, he earns something more valuable than money: your trust. The silent strategist never gives trust because someone feels right. He gives trust because someone's actions have remained consistent over time. There's an enormous difference. Think back to someone who disappointed you. Maybe a friend, a business partner, a romantic relationship. If you're honest, the warning signs probably existed from the beginning. Small contradictions, promises that never became actions, stories that didn't quite match, moments that felt slightly off. You notice them, but your emotions explain them away. They're just stressed. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm probably overthinking it. Eventually, the truth became impossible to ignore. The silent strategist has one rule that changes everything. Never explain away a pattern. Anyone can have a bad day. Anyone can make one mistake. But repeated behavior is never an accident. Patterns reveal identity. Words reveal intention. Actions reveal truth. Machiavelli believed that reality always whispers before it screams. Most people wait for the scream. The strategist listens to the whisper. That's why he rarely says, "I never saw it coming," because he saw it. He simply chose not to ignore it. The moment you stop judging people by isolated moments and start judging them by repeated patterns, your entire understanding of human nature begins to change. There's a language that every human being speaks. Very few people ever learn it, because it has nothing to do with words. Machiavelli knew that speech is often designed to persuade. Behavior is designed to survive, and survival almost always reveals the truth. Imagine 2 employees. Both tell the boss, "I'm fully committed to this project." The first arrives early, keeps his promises, accepts responsibility when something goes wrong. His actions remain consistent whether anyone is watching or not. The second speaks beautifully. He always has the perfect explanation, the perfect excuse, the perfect apology. But deadlines are missed. Promises change. Accountability disappears. Which one is telling the truth? The answer has nothing to do with what either of them said, because actions have no incentive to lie. Words often do. The silent strategist pays attention to one question above all others. Does this person's behavior consistently match their message? If the answer is no, he doesn't argue. He doesn't accuse. He simply adjusts the amount of trust he gives. One of the greatest mistakes intelligent people make is believing that honesty is proven by confidence. It isn't. Some of the most convincing liars you've ever met genuinely believe their own stories. Confidence proves conviction. It does not prove truth. This is why the strategist never becomes hypnotized by charisma. He studies consistency instead. Notice how someone behaves when there's nothing to gain. Notice how they treat people who cannot help them. Notice how they react when life becomes difficult. Pressure removes performance. Character remains. Machiavelli observed that power doesn't change people. Power exposes them. The same is true of stress, success, failure, money, authority. These situations don't create character. They reveal the character that was already there. That's why the smartest observer isn't watching people during comfortable moments. He's watching them when circumstances change, because masks are expensive to maintain. Eventually, everyone gets tired. Everyone slips. Everyone accidentally reveals themselves. Most people miss these moments because they're listening. The silent strategist is watching. Watching for contradictions. Watching for patterns. Watching for the silent language that never lies. The world is constantly telling you who people really are. The question is, have you trained yourself to see it? If someone wanted to control your decisions, they wouldn't attack your intelligence. They would attack your emotions. Because an emotional mind rarely thinks strategically. It reacts. Machiavelli understood that the easiest man to manipulate is not the weakest man. It's the man who cannot separate emotion from judgment. Imagine receiving an unexpected message. Someone criticizes you, accuses you of something unfair, or insults you publicly. Your heart begins to race. Your breathing changes. Your mind instantly starts writing a response. In that moment, who is making the decision? You or your emotions? Most people believe they're thinking. In reality, they're defending their ego. And that's exactly what manipulators expect. They provoke. You react. They stay calm. You become emotional. Suddenly, you look like the unstable one. The silent strategist refuses to fight battles that begin with emotional traps. He understands one simple truth. The first person who loses emotional control usually loses the negotiation. This is why experienced negotiators rarely rush. Elite poker players rarely celebrate. Military commanders rarely make decisions in panic. Calmness creates clarity. Clarity creates better decisions. Think about every major mistake you've ever regretted. Sending the angry message, trusting someone too quickly, ending a relationship impulsively, making a reckless purchase, accepting a terrible business deal. Most of those decisions had one thing in common. They were made during emotional intensity, not logical clarity. Machiavelli believed that patience creates power because time weakens emotion. What feels urgent today often becomes irrelevant tomorrow. The manipulator knows this. That's why he pressures you. Answer now. Decide today. If you don't act immediately, you'll lose everything. Urgency is one of manipulation's favorite disguises. The silent strategist recognizes artificial urgency almost instantly, unless someone's life is in danger. Very few decisions actually need to be made immediately. He slows down. He observes. He lets emotion settle before making judgment. Because emotion clouds perception, but patience sharpens it. Remember, people can manipulate your anger. They can manipulate your fear. They can manipulate your pride. But they struggle to manipulate someone who refuses to react emotionally. The greatest advantage isn't becoming emotionless. It's becoming emotionally disciplined. Because once your emotions stop controlling your decisions, other people lose one of their strongest weapons against you. If these lessons are changing the way you see people, imagine what happens when you have the complete system. Everything you're learning today is only a small part of what I teach inside the Dark Mind Protocol. The protocol was created for men who are tired of being manipulated, tired of overthinking every interaction, and tired of giving respect to people who never deserved it. Inside, you'll learn how to read hidden motives before they become obvious, how to establish boundaries that people naturally respect, how to remain calm under pressure, and how to develop the quiet confidence that makes manipulation almost impossible. This isn't motivation, it's psychological training. If you're serious about becoming the man who always sees 3 moves ahead, open the first pinned comment below. Your transformation starts there. One of Machiavelli's greatest observations was surprisingly simple. People rarely hide the truth. They hide it behind beautiful words. Most men spend their lives listening. The silent strategist spends his life observing. Because actions always carry a cost. Words do not. Anyone can promise loyalty. Anyone can promise honesty. Anyone can promise love. Anyone can promise respect. Promises are free. Behavior is expensive. Imagine a business partner who constantly says, "You can trust me," but every agreement arrives late. Every deadline is missed. Every excuse sounds convincing. At what point do you stop listening? Most people wait far too long because they become emotionally attached to the version of that person they wish were real. The strategist doesn't fall into that trap. He asks one question: if I removed every word this person has ever spoken, what would their actions tell me? That question changes everything. Suddenly, the charming coworker doesn't seem so reliable. The loyal friend doesn't seem so loyal. The honest partner doesn't seem so honest. Without words, behavior becomes impossible to hide. One of the reasons manipulators talk so much is because they need words to compensate for inconsistent actions. Notice something fascinating. People with genuine integrity rarely spend much time convincing you they're trustworthy. They simply behave that way, quietly, repeatedly, without asking for recognition. Machiavelli believed that consistency creates reputation. Not speeches, not appearances, not intentions. Consistency. The silent strategist pays attention to small behaviors that most people dismiss. How someone treats waiters. How someone behaves after receiving power. How someone reacts when they hear the word no. How someone speaks about people who aren't present. These moments reveal more than hours of conversation, because character leaks through ordinary moments. You don't discover someone's nature during their performance. You discover it when they forget they're performing. That's why observation beats interrogation every time. The less you force people to explain themselves, the more they naturally reveal who they really are. Manipulators rarely invent new strategies. They simply repeat the same patterns with different people. Once you recognize the pattern, you stop becoming the victim. Machiavelli understood that human nature changes very little. Technology changes. Society changes. Clothing changes. But ambition, fear, greed, and the desire for control remain the same. That's why manipulation often follows a predictable sequence. First, they create familiarity. They seem to understand you better than anyone else. They agree with your opinions, mirror your personality, share similar stories. You begin thinking, finally, someone who gets me. Then comes the second stage, dependence. Slowly, they position themselves as someone you rely on, for advice, for validation, for emotional support, for opportunities. Little by little, your confidence begins depending on their presence. And once dependence exists, control becomes much easier. The third stage is subtle. They begin testing your boundaries. Small requests, small favors, small compromises. Nothing feels serious on its own, but each yes makes the next request easier. Until one day, you realize you've accepted things you would have rejected months earlier. The silent strategist notices these tests immediately. He knows that healthy people respect boundaries. Manipulative people negotiate them. Every unnecessary guilt trip, every attempt to rush your decision, every effort to make you feel responsible for their emotions is information, not necessarily proof, but information. And information is power. Here's another pattern most people miss. Manipulators hate clarity. They prefer confusion, mixed signals, vague promises, unclear expectations. Because confusion makes people emotionally dependent. The more uncertain you become, the easier you are to influence. That's why the strategist constantly asks for clarity. What exactly do you mean? What are you expecting? What happens if I say no? Simple questions. Powerful results. Manipulators often become uncomfortable when forced into clarity, because hidden intentions survive in ambiguity, not in daylight. Remember this. Anyone trying to control you benefits when you're confused. Anyone who genuinely respects you wants you to understand exactly where you stand. That difference alone can save you years of disappointment. The silent strategist doesn't assume everyone is manipulating him. He simply refuses to ignore the patterns when they appear. Because awareness is not paranoia. Awareness is protection.